Welcome to Investors Insights. Our topic today, full house. There's a reason we chose that topic because we have a full house of data for you today, and it's all connected. And it's on topics like housing, the Fed, government shutdown, U.S. consumer. That may sound boring to you, but I can tell you the three gentlemen on the screen with me have done an incredible job bringing forth this research. Guys, incredible work. Thoroughly enjoyed the meeting this morning, and I think we're going to continue to communicate that with our clients, not only on this vlog, but our other social media, our podcast, YouTube. We're going to communicate these different thoughts, ideas, so that we can keep our folks informed. With that, my colleagues with me this morning are Bobby Norman, Trey Booth, and Ty Miller. And I thoroughly enjoy serving on the portfolio strategies team with the three of you. Bobby, I'm going to go to you first because housing was a topic you brought up, and housing is very important to our viewers. So talk about that.
Yeah, we continue to get questions on housing and how the Federal Reserve action 2 weeks ago in cutting rates will help the housing market. But first, I want to go over why the housing market is important for the economy and the markets. And it's why we continue to talk about it in our weekly vlog and with the research we share throughout the week. Housing plays a pivotal role in our economy as it represents around 18% of our GDP and over 1/3 of consumer spending. And it also serves as a key indicator of broader economic activity and strength, and then also future trends. So one thing that we have seen is that the affordability of housing has been a key driver of recent inflation. So we want to continue to follow it closely to see if the housing sector could be at a turning point with lower rates. And as you can see in this first chart here, and looking at the solid blue line, new U.S. home sales have recently spiked higher with more activity. And you can see that the new home prices seen in the dotted red line have been trending lower, which has been coincided by higher sales. So we're starting to see lower home prices and lower rates drive activity in the very important housing market. And again, which I mentioned earlier, is a positive development for our economy and hopefully a trend that we'll continue to see for the rest of 2025. Housing matters.
Housing does matter. You're absolutely right. And with that, which is a big positive, you go, okay, this is great news. We're moving forward here. And then Trey, you came in this morning to say, but we need to talk about possible government shutdown and the impact it could have. So here we are with great data on the housing side. Tell us about government shutdown and also tell us about the Fed in relation to rate cuts.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Yeah, so speaking of full house, there'll be a full White House today with leaders from both parties meeting, trying to avoid a government shutdown. Hopefully they'll come to some sort of agreement. We'll avoid it. Ty's done a great job the last few weeks preparing us for this eventuality of the government shutdown. There's economic data shows it really has no impact on GDP or on markets. But it does have an impact on nerds like us that are very data dependent and nerds like the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve has become very data dependent, that they're watching every little tick of economic data that comes out. And what happens during a government shutdown is that economic data stops coming out. That's part of the federal government that's not considered essential, and so it does stop. There's a highly anticipated jobs data point that we're not going to get this Friday if the government is shut down. Now, once the government reopens, all this data will come back in. But this is very important right now because we're about 12 days from the last Fed decision. And what we said we were watching closely, what we have been watching closely is what would be the follow through on interest rates after the Federal Reserve cut rates. Everyone very much anticipated the Fed to cut rates 25 basis points. They did. You can see on this chart, what I've pulled up here is the purple line is the 10-year Treasury yield. That's the most important interest rate in the world. A lot is priced off of that. The orange line is the 30-year mortgage, which, to Bobby's point, that's really what drives housing. And the blue line is the federal funds rate. You can see heading into the meeting, the 10-year Treasury and the 30-year mortgage interest both were falling. And then after the cut became a reality, they've kind of flatlined and started to go up. Now, they're not spiking up like they did this time last year after the Fed cut rates. But the fact that they're not rolling over and continuing down is somewhat concerning. And a very important data point would be the jobs data would give us a good indicator of where the economy is going, which may cause rates to continue to go down. We're not going to get this Friday. And so all this is coming together at a very contentious time. So it'd be interesting to watch for us as economic nerds how rates respond to the lack of data and something we're going to watch closely because we really want to see these rates continue to fall and roll over to make housing more affordable and make our refinance your deficit a lot more affordable. So those very important data points that we're watching closely.
They're very key. You're absolutely right. And with that, we need the U.S. consumer to be very positive and very active when it comes to housing, not panicking on government shutdowns, and also from the standpoint as to what the Fed's doing, taking advantage if rate cuts occur. And then Ty, that's where we come to you regarding how you jumped in this morning with some great data on the U.S. consumer. Give us some insight there.
Yeah, luckily, before this possible government shutdown, some data we did get was last month's personal income and consumption report. So personal income was up 0.4% in August, which beat the expectations. And this is coming off of a very strong June and July as well. And personal consumption, so spending, was also up 0.6%, again ahead of consensus, and again coming off of a strong June and July. So the consumer makes up 70% of the economy here in the U.S. It's important that the consumer is confident in spending and making money and just being overall strong. Personal income up for the year a little bit over 5%, and spending has increased a little bit over 5.5%. And that's not just an inflation story. It is outpacing inflation. Inflation right now is at about 2.7% kind of pace for the last 12 months. So it's important to see that the consumer is being strong, spending money on both goods and services, and not really having that fear. That's kind of when you kind of start running into trouble, is when things tighten up, you hear some bad news, and all of a sudden one consumer, stops spending money. That leads to another consumer stop spending money, and that's how you kind of get these contractions in GDP or contractions in the economy. So right now, no sign of that. Consumer is strong, and of course, we're heading here to Q4 end of the year, holiday shopping. So we'll certainly keep our eye on the consumer as we wrap up 2025.
No, you're absolutely right. It's hard to believe that today is September 29th. We are getting ready to end the month of September, and in 90 days, we'll be pushing to have this year over with. And a lot's going to transpire in these next 90 days. And we're going to keep everybody informed through our vlogs, as well as we're now on Instagram. Please find us if you're on Instagram or at 5 Plan Partners. Big shout out to Lexi Watts, our marketing manager, who is doing an incredible job expanding our reach, communicating with our clients on the economic data, as well as things going on here at 5 Plan Partners and highlighting things about our clients. So we thank you for watching. We thank you for sharing. Still, last week had a couple come in. One of our clients has been sharing our vlogs. They came in, they became clients. It's a huge compliment. We can't thank you enough. And then I just want to close as we end September and with 90 days left. We always appreciate each and every one of you. And every day we strive to see to it that our clients have a better, richer, fuller life. Thank you. Have a great week.